Del Rio, Texas. Rob Wade and Robert Garza. Two guys who dive. This episode of Two Guys Who Dive, recorded Saturday, 5 May 2012, episode 14, I Shall Avenge You. Well, we're dealing with some technical difficulties. Not sure exactly what's going on here. But we're going to still record anyway. Doesn't matter. So, I am Robert Wade.
And I am Robert Garza.
And welcome to another episode of Two Guys Who Dive. Well, it's been an interesting week and an interesting day today.
It has.
Now, for those of you who are trying to catch us live, we were running a little bit late. Ran into some technical difficulties, as well as my co-host running a little bit late today.
I like to make an entrance. What can I say?
You are strange about that.
Yeah.
So, what was going on today? I know it's a little bit something different about you today.
Yeah. Well, I went ahead and took off my goatee. I
took off, or?
Well, it wasn't planned, but, it came off, so what can I say?
Came off?
Accidentally, it came off.
So, all right, so what's the story behind that?
It jumped off my face.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that often happens to me when I shave.
Actually, I had already been thinking about shaving it off, being the fact that dive season is already just around the corner.
Right.
I tend to... the mask that I have tends to ride kind of high up around my nose area. So water tends to, I don't get a good seal on my mask. So it tends to, water, start shooting in my face. So I thought I might as well just go ahead and get used to it and take it off.
Okay. Well, it definitely is easier with the mask. Let me tell you.
Again, it was accidental. It wasn't planned. Trust me, folks. It really wasn't. Robert's putting me on the spot. I'm going to go ahead and tell you. You know what happened was I was in a hurry. I was shaving. I was running a little bit late. And I shaved off a little too much from one side. So I figured, good a time and you just take it off.
That's okay. No harm, no foul there. For quite a while I sported a goatee, which, I like my look in that. However, when you're diving, the mustache part of it just gets in the way of a mask seal around you, and so it doesn't take much of a dive before suddenly you're dealing with water leaking into your mask, and I hate it when that happens.
It makes just for an uncomfortable dive. You're constantly just there, messing with your mask and clearing it, and once you start having those kind of issues, it's just an ongoing effect to where you're just going to be constantly clearing your mask because it just doesn't seal right. So.
Yeah, and I've tried a number of different masks, and it doesn't seem to matter. Getting a signal, like getting a message there.
Yeah, I'm getting a message, from my iPhone.
Ach, du lieber.
I tend to kind of comment every so often on posts on Facebook, and if you want to Rob's friends, I do that just to kind of give Rob a hard time about his Microsoft fancy, and it's no harm, no foul. Those of you that follow along, it's really out of just me poking at him and having good fun with it, because he knows how I am, and I am a Microsoft guy. I do not own a Windows phone by any means. I have had Android phones in the past. Well, most of my phones, before this one were Android phones, and I've had a BlackBerry, so I've kind of dabbled with all the manufacturers that are out there. And they're all good phones. They all do what they need to do. Some phones are better than others. So it just depends on what it is you're looking for your phone to do for you. But I was actually having a conversation with my friend Dominic last night. We were at the movies, went to go see the Avengers, and I ran into Robert there, him and his wife and a couple of his friends that were going to go out and see the same movie, but they went an hour before we did. And we were actually discussing the Windows phones.
Oh,
and
really?
yeah, and I told him, I said, you know what?
And you're like, don't let Rob hear you say.
Actually,
don't spread the word that I was saying.
No, no. And I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I'm gonna step up to the plate. I said, you know what? I really am impressed with the phone. I like the features, the way the live tiles, and just the look and overall function of the phone. I really do like it. So Dominic was like, "Are you gonna buy one?" And I was
like, "No,
I can't now." I put the thing down so much, but
right.
No, but it really is a nice phone. I was very impressed since back when I was playing with it there at AT&T, the Titan.
Which is that one's doing really well too. But I tell you, Nokia has done an excellent job of just marketing the heck out of the Lumia line, and they just can't keep those on the shelves. Amazon keeps selling out. So I mean, that's a good thing. And still, with all that traffic, I mean, they're barely making a scratch on the market share. But it's going to take a while before it gets attention, gets some traction. So
yeah, we had the discussion some time back, and
right.
And actually it was the fact that Microsoft, when they actually first came out with the phones,
right.
they just did not do a good job on advertisement.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a major fail on their part, and you wouldn't believe the number of people who just chided all the Microsoft guys, or Microsofties as they're often called, in their various blog posts. I mean, just beat them up one side and down the other. At least in the blogs, just where do you guys? You need to fire your entire marketing team because you guys suck at it.
They really did.
That is true. That's true.
I would see like 10 Android commercials and about 25 Apple commercials before I would see one Windows commercial.
Absolutely.
And it was just really bad.
Yeah. Well, of course, now Nokia said, okay, let us do it because we advertise our phones all over the world. Let's take a shot at this. So they got what's his face from Saturday Night Live and started doing the smartphone beta test thing.
Oh, that's right.
Which really isn't true, but it's a funny anecdote. It's kind of he's the perfect guy to sell that commercial because it's just funny to watch.
Actually, I made a comment about that. Remember, I'm still beta testing.
Yeah.
I don't have a Windows phone. I have another smartphone, so I'm still beta testing.
Well, they need to improve everywhere they can. There's the biggest room, as they say, the biggest room that you have is the room for improvement. So everybody's got an opportunity to improve. Speaking of improvement, man, I'm not a fan of Apple by any stretch. But although I do admit that the iPhone they've done well with as far as the design of the hardware, not the infamous antenna issue. Well, you're just not holding the phone right. That whole issue notwithstanding, the fact that they have done well with the hardware and a smart approach to cradle to graving the device and the iPhone itself, at least the 4 and the 4S, those are very fluid. But I got to spend 6 hours.
Yeah, tell us about that, Rob.
Oh my gosh, that was some painful stuff. A friend of mine who is a videographer, and he's grown up with the Microsoft, computers, workstation servers, stuff like that to do all of his videography stuff. He's comfortable with it. He's happy with it. He likes the Corel Draw for doing his pictures and all that stuff. And the Rex Edit, I think, is what he's using for his actual video editing software. And he's good at it, but as far as it goes, he's not what I would call a power user. In that, even though he's requiring his machines to do a lot of heavy lifting, he's just not. He knows what he knows, and that's his box that he lives in. Those people.
Right.
They know their software. Man, I can make Word do magic things, but tell me how to find a PDF file on my machine, and I'm totally lost. That's those kind of guys. And so I end up, once in a while, I end up kind of going over there and doing a little OJT, kind of walking him through, well, here's how you do this, and teaching him a little bit more about how to use his computer. And so, but one of the things he does as a videographer, he actually does the depositions and testimonies. He records a lot of that stuff.
Wow.
For court, which you need to be able to do it when it needs to be done. It needs to be done professionally, because this is often used as evidence.
Correct.
In a court case. You being in law enforcement, you're well aware of that stuff.
Yeah.
So he, some of the lawyers that he ends up dealing with prefer to Skype in for certain things. Preliminary hearings, that kind of stuff, or interviews, that kind of thing. So he decided he wanted to get something that was more portable, more flexible, and he'd seen a couple of his lawyers using an iPad and to Skype with and talk to some other folks, and they said, well, yeah, you can do that, and it's a lot lighter to carry than a notebook, which is absolutely true.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of tablets as an idea, as long as they are able to let me do what I need to do. If they're just a consumption device, it bores me. And for most people, they use it as a consumption device. It's a toy. Admit it, it's a toy. But there are people who do use it as an actual tool.
Yeah.
Okay, so great. It does Skype. Apparently it does it well, as far as I've heard. So that my mission was to go over there and show him how to use a device that I absolutely hate. Okay? So that was the first part. You go in with a bad attitude anyway. So, but he's my friend. I'm going to help him out because he's got court dates coming up and he needs to get this stuff ready to go. So I go over there right after work, and he's breaking the thing out. He's only had it turned on, a few times. It's charged up. He hasn't really done nothing as far as the setup. So basically, this is a from scratch
setup. Yeah, install.
I'm like, okay, and I'm not unfamiliar with it because Tara has the iPhone 4, and it's an iOS product, so there shouldn't be all that big a difference. My gosh, the juggernaut I had to go through to get his account set up on the thing, figure out where everything is on there, even though from right out of the box there are not very many icons on there, but from my point of view, where things are don't make sense. They're not intuitive. And so I had to plug through all of that. And then the fact that maybe it was just his device, but it was like mud. I'm like trying to, I'm used to my phone where I just barely breathe on it and I can swish things. And I'm like, whoosh, nothing, whoosh, whoosh, nothing. Finally got the screen to move. I'm like, come on. This is supposed to be an enjoyable experience. It's supposed to be easy to use. And it's like mud. I felt like I had to get my chisel and go to get the screen to move. Movement in there was just painful. So here I am, frustrated that I'm dealing with a device and operating system that I don't care for, trying to help him learn this. Which, that kind of pressure, as you know, because you've also been IT department,
right?
Trying to teach a user something that should be kind of a second nature for you, and you're coming off looking like, do you know what you're doing? I'm like,
kind of reminds
this device should work. I'm like shaking. What is this? So finally, after 6 hours, I got his iTunes account. Well, it didn't help that a number of the different things that he uses totally forgot passwords for. Things like
that doesn't help.
No, things like Outlook. He's
oh god.
He was using Outlook Express, which who uses that? But
I used it back in the 80s.
Yeah, really. Well, that's where these machines are from. Okay. He's held on to these things. It's like, I don't want to upset the apple cart. It works. I don't want to upgrade. One machine, his machine doing this videography stuff, Windows 2000.
Ooh.
Yeah. Which, by the time they got to the last Surface Packs, it was a solid operating system, but nothing new is compatible with it now.
Right.
So, but anyway,
You know, it's kind of funny when Windows 2000 first came out, there was a lot of stuff that wasn't compatible with that. Kind of like when XP first came out, that nothing was compatible because everything was still running Windows 98.
Yep.
But yeah, when they got down to the Service Pack 4 on Windows 2000, they had it locked down pretty good. It was a good solid operating system, and then they did away with it. So
oh yeah.
But we were using it there at the school for a while. XP had already been running for over a year, and we were still on Windows 2K. They just didn't want to upgrade because they were afraid of the domain controllers not working or something like that. I remember it was the policy. They were afraid that the
security policies.
Yeah, the policies.
The
security policies wouldn't push off to the other machines that were running Windows XP, and we tried it, and lo and behold, it worked. They didn't have to do anything.
Right.
It just worked. So they had to upgrade the actual knock to I think it was Server 2003 by this time. So yeah, everything worked.
Yeah. Now, and the servers that I have are running.
Yeah.
Server 2003.
Yeah.
Holding out to see what Windows 8 server looks like. It's supposed to be pretty, or I think they're calling it well, I guess they are calling it Windows Server 8. And it's supposed to be pretty impressive, but I'm more likely to jump on the desktop bandwagon than I am the server bandwagon.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Well, I mean, if it works, I mean, why change it, you know?
Well, yeah, and it's 2003 got really secure. I mean, unless you totally ignore the security on it, they're pretty decent machines. Otherwise, you need to go to like a Linux server.
Right,
you know,
right, yeah.
To be honest.
So finish telling us your story.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't want to sidetrack.
No, that's okay. That's okay. So there I was, knee deep in grenade pins. No, that's a totally different story.
That's another story.
Yeah,
that's when you're in Nam.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I was Special Agent Orange. That's it. I was Agent Orange.
Agent Orange.
That's right. So after 6 hours of having to contact Time Warner to get his password. Luckily, they have 24/7 chat service, which is great. Got his passwords, got all the other pieces he needed, figured out how to configure all of this on the iPad. Finally got him up, got Skype running. What was interesting is he's like, well, I don't know about this Skype. I'm like, but you have it on your other workstation here, which is running XP, by the way. Again, that's a solid. There's a lot of people that they stopped with XP. There's a lot of businesses, they stopped with XP. They refused to upgrade to Vista, and they're only just now moving to Windows 7. So I suspect probably Windows 8 will not see a fast adoption in the enterprise. But I digress. So he's got XP on this machine, and I'm looking through there. I see the big old Skype icon right there on the screen. I'm like, but Richard, you've got Skype on your machine. No, I don't. I'm like, yeah, right there. Would you like me to double click on it? So I double click on it, and it's got his granddaughters' names. I guess when his daughter and the grandkids all come over, he lets them sit down at his machine.
Oh,
not a good idea when it's one of your production machines, because he's got his video production and he's got his where he does his pictures, editing, that kind of stuff. And then, of course, he does his personal stuff like his business operation and, of course, his goofy email, Outlook Express. But so he's got Skype on there, and he's let his granddaughters play on it. So that's not a good idea. Give them another machine. Give them a netbook or something like that so that when they visit, they don't mess things up. So anyway, I said, so we need to create your account for Skype if you want to use this. Oh, okay. So we go through that process, which fortunately Skype is an easy application to set up. So, excuse me. So we finally get him set up on that machine because it's much aside from the fact that it was like mud trying to do this on the iPad, I could set him up really quickly on the desktop because it's just that's the first version that they created anyway. So it's going to run the smoothest. So I got him set up and it worked. great. Threw on Skype, going to my Windows phone, which has Skype on it, and worked pretty well. The camera, the webcam he had on the thing was was pretty ancient. I think it was like 640 by 320 or something. Couldn't handle the low light in there at all. So you just see like this very grainy, pixelated face.
Pixels.
Yeah, it's just right there and very grainy. You know, it tried to compensate it, but couldn't. And so I said, okay, well, you'll need to upgrade to that camera. And I showed him our last video.
Oh, okay, cool.
And I said, here's what you can do with decent HD cameras. And he was impressed. Of course, he's got HD digital, big, fancy cameras, the professional type.
Production cameras?
Yeah. So when he saw how our podcast looked, he was impressed. Matter of fact, I guess I didn't know this. He's working with the local TV station. Yes, Del Rio has a local TV station, probably a viewership of 5. And those are probably family members of the people who work at the TV station. No, I'm kidding.
Where are they located? Are they located downtown across from the Emporium?
I think that's correct.
Yeah, because I ride a lot, and they're always filming and videotaping. Or honestly, I really didn't know what they were doing in there. Then I come to find out that they were actually doing commercials. Commercials and pictures, and there's always all kinds of people down there,
right?
All dressed up in dresses and
well, they
whatnot.
have. I'll be honest with you, and this is not a slight against women, but what I have been able to discern so far, it seems like a very female-heavy lineup of programming.
Yeah.
So they have various like fashion type shows, chick talk, chick flicks, and that kind of stuff. So you need to get some testosterone running on that show, and
you got to get some sci-fi running down there.
Yeah, real sci-fi, not like the Sci-Fi Channel, which now shows wrestling. I mean, come on, it's fiction, but it ain't science, not at all. So anyway, so he's doing some of the filming, the recording for that, and he was thinking that maybe he'd want to suggest that they do something like this. If you're going to be able to do it close up, obviously you could see you can get away with a pretty decent production if you got the right setting and the right lighting and everything. You can get away with a pretty decent production for fairly cheap, inexpensively. But be aware that if you're trying to record in HD, you lose a lot of your zoom in capability. And I know that with professional cameras, they like to do the really good close-ups and stuff like that. So you wouldn't be able to keep the cameras, really any further away than like what we have in order to get the full HD effect and have, good close-ups, that kind of thing. So, and that's fine. It really just depends on what you want to get away with. But I suppose if you're trying to set up a production on the cheap, this is as good a way as any to get the ball rolling. I mean, we've done it.
Yeah.
As you can see.
And even at that, it's not a shoestring, cheap either. But it is, I guess you would call it a little less expensive than,
Right.
Of course, you can always, break the bank if you wanted to. And
oh, yeah, there's a lot more expensive, webcams that do this. Or, and for the first couple episodes, I did use one of my HD cameras, but it was a couple of years old, and the way I had to bring it into my computer, because all of this is USB input, it was really overtaxing my system. So and not getting me the full quality that I was hoping to get out of it. So I found that the webcams actually do a better job than my digital camera did.
And this is actually a really, really nice setup. I mean, I'm very impressed with the quality and the audio and everything that we're getting out of here. It's really nice. Yeah. I
mean, this is really run under $1,000 to get this, but and the software. When I showed him the software, how I did it, he goes, "So how do you get all the camera angles and stuff like that?" Because I can easily, shift from the full shot to a close-up of Scuba Bob. And, of course, of yours truly. And I can bring in the splash, and it's just really easy to do with this software. And it's so inexpensive, compared to all the software he's got to do all this stuff. And he has to do it all in post, post editing. Whereas I actually do most of this stuff. Well, actually, the show you see I've created the lower thirds that you see and can swap those out very easily. It's easy to pop those in and change them out. Bring in all this stuff, do it ahead of time, and then it's all just brought in. Mm-hmm. It's just layered in so easily. Whereas a lot of the shows have to do it. We'll do a lot of stuff in post, or they'll go spend something on a huge amount of money on a TriCaster, which is several $1,000s. That lets you do really cool, fancy stuff, but of course at a cost. And
right.
This software is almost free, and it has quite a bit of capability as long as you got a machine with the horses. Now, I've learned a lot. And boy, have we digressed. But I've learned a lot looking at other podcasts and see what they use. And one of the this is a common conceptual setup where you have the computer running the software, integrating your video from multiple sources if they have multiple cameras. And then rather than using just a sound card, they're using a soundboard, which we're using here, a 12-channel, to bring more professional audio sound into the production. And he just liked the whole package. So, but he's got what he's got. He's not ready to spend money yet to update it because he's comfortable with the software. Okay, so anyway, here he goes. He's working with the TV station. He's working with the courts here, and we finally got Skype loaded up on his iPad. So then we try to do a simple Skype right there. Well, my Windows phone is a 4G LTE phone. The iPad 2, which he had, is not. It's a 3G. 3G,
right.
And where he was at, where his house is at, he doesn't even get 3G. It's Edge.
Oh, gosh.
And one, maybe 2 bars of Edge. So can you say pixelated? It was really bad cutting out and really bad pixelation.
So he had a 3G. He had a 3G iPad.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna.
He spent some bucks on this.
Yeah, I'm gonna say because he. So then, who was his provider? AT&T.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that explains it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna smack you.
Well, I mean, I've had problems with my phone, my Apple phone, and it's not phone manifested. It's more network manifest, and problems here and there. There's days that the phone is like smoking. I mean, it's super fast. I'm downloading. I'm sending emails. I'm texting. I'm doing everything all at once, and then the next day it's like dead in the water. It's and then you'll hear me complain about it.
Right.
My email isn't working. My text messages, I get them about 6 at a time, and the first one came in at 9 o'clock in the morning. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon now. Yeah, it's just little problems like that. But wow, he did spend some bucks. And my iPad is actually just Wi-Fi, so anywhere I go, it's Wi-Fi connection, and it's fast.
Now, speaking of that. I was like, okay, now let me tell you this right off the bat. And I had actually warned him about this before, too. I said, on a 3G network, video conferencing of any type is
horrible,
painful.
Mm-hmm.
I told him, if you really want this to work well, because he saw, after seeing how bad it was over 3G, because the communication is only going to work at the highest speed of the lowest common denominator. In this case, the 3G was the common denominator. So and he was like, this is horrible. I can't use this. I'm like, that's what I told you. And it wouldn't matter what kind of device you use. If you're stuck with 3G, you're stuck with 3G. And it's not going to give you the performance you want, especially for, court interviews and that kind of thing.
I've done face-to-face with back in the day with when I had my T-Mobile phone. I had a MyTouch 4G,
right,
and it had the to where I can do video chat, And when you're doing it over 3G or 4G or whatever, it was okay, but it lagged. It had its problems. We were but if the person that I was communicating with was on Wi-Fi and I was on Wi-Fi, it was like flawless.
Absolutely.
I mean, you just can't compare. So if you're gonna use any kind of video streaming or anything over 3G or 4G, even if it's the LTE, there's gonna be a little hang up. So don't expect razor quality high def video or pictures.
And I have to think that there might be, maybe this is just imagination. You perceive something based on your own experience, but it seems to me that I've seen better performance even over 4G or even 3G, even though it's obviously sketchy, if the devices are the same.
Mm-hmm.
Lumia to Lumia, it seems to work smoother than like Lumia to iPhone. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking that probably iPhone to iPhone or iPad to iPad may work a little bit better because they are totally simpatico.
I did a what do you call it? God,
a test.
My mind went blank.
Oh.
I did a FaceTime actually with another iPhone, and we were doing it over 3G, and they had an iPhone 4. They had a 3GS and I had a 4.
Right.
And
was it passable?
It was okay.
Okay.
It was doable. I mean, I could see it.
You didn't want to do a lot of really fast.
No.
Moving.
Yeah, you don't want to move too fast.
You see your face like top of your head is over here.
Because then you're gonna be like you're gonna look
there.
like a robot. You're just gonna be moving in frame.
Right.
But it was okay. Better than some of the other things I've seen out there.
Right.
But unfortunately, you're just not gonna get that kind of video quality that you're looking for.
Not just over, unless you're going LTE. That's about the best you can hope to get. Really decent.
Are we supposed to get that here?
They're working on it. Well, at least AT&T is. They've been jacking with the towers, so they've been every once in a while. I mean, it gets the 4G, although the 4G for AT&T is that HSPA plus.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But when you go into a true LTE, the phone switches and says LTE. And it was cool because I was in San Antonio today. Woo! LTE was smoking, but I could definitely tell the battery usage difference.
Oh,
even on the Lumia with an 1850 millihour, it definitely went through the battery faster than 3G and even 4SP.
I mean, unfortunately, you're going to have to pay for that speed. Somewhere it's going to.
Oh yeah. It doesn't matter with the device because that radio just sucks the life out of things. Mm-hmm. So boy, have we gone way off the mark.
Yeah.
But anyway, So my experience with it is I absolutely never want, and I posted this on Facebook, there is no way in the world anybody will convince me to ever, you could give me an iPad and I'd find somebody quickly to give it to you. Because there's just no way. To hate the OS and then deal with a piece of hardware that just doesn't move with the fluidity, in my opinion, of even the iPhone 4, which does move well. Again, I don't like the OS. My wife loves it, but it moves well. I got to admit, it performs very snappy. Mm-hmm. But the iPad 2 didn't. Now maybe the iPad 3 or the new iPad, maybe it does better. But the iPad 2 is just
maybe next week I'll bring you my iPad and we can you can see the difference. Nothing special on my iPad. I don't have
No, which version is yours?
It's the iPad 2.
Okay. But you said yours is just the Wi-Fi
It's only the Wi-Fi. So maybe that's one of the problems. I've never seen one of the three the three ones or whatever you call it.
They're just calling it new.
Not the new one. I mean the ones.
That has the phone in it.
Yeah, the 3G service or whatever.
Yeah.
Mine is just the Wi-Fi. I've never seen one. I've never touched one. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to say I'm stupid, but I have seen them. I've just never messed with one. Mine is just the Wi-Fi, and it is the iPad 2, and it's fast. In fact, I did the upgrade. I did the upgrade
5.0.1.
Yeah.
Now that, and I posted this too. Now that part of setting up his iPad 2 was smooth. It was every bit as good as Microsoft finally has it now with the Windows Phone. I mean, you connected it. iTunes is there. It says, guess what? You have an update ready. Would you like to install it? And said yes, and just let it fly. And it was seamless. It took very little interaction. So, kudos for that process. They've got that process down. So that's a good job.
But, I'm surprised to hear that it was moving so slow.
Oh, my gosh. Well, it was like the screen just wasn't sensing me. And I'm like, I washed my hands. But I mean, I turn around like, is it me? And I go around and grab my phone. I'm like flying all over the place. And then I turn around, grab the iPad, and it's like,
maybe
move.
Maybe it's just temperamental. It knew that you didn't like it.
You hate me. Well, I'm going to hate you back. Yeah, maybe it was. I don't know.
I think the pad was just biting you.
Well, it definitely it made an enemy out of me. And
6 hours, huh?
6 hours, and I was so glad to get out of there. He's up and running. He knows how to use it now. At least he knows how to use it within the sandbox of the things he wants to do with it. But I said there is a lot more capability with this. There are things that you can do, things that I think you'll want to take advantage of now that you have this thing.
Right.
But you've got to experiment. You've got to not be afraid to click on things.
I use mine. I don't use it as much as maybe I should use it.
Well, you use your phone probably more as your central tool.
Right.
Yeah.
I use it more to read, like, I have the USA Today app on my iPad, and I like reading the news on it.
Which is really awesome. The app on Windows 8 is awesome for the USA Today. I do not like USA Today, but their app, I tell you, they know how to write. Whoever's doing their programming writes some good stuff.
Good stuff, right?
Yeah.
Well, the version that's on my iPhone 4, they updated the USA Today. It's not. It had the app itself for the iPad hasn't updated yet. So the one on my phone is different than the one from my iPad. My iPad
so you definitely gravitate towards that.
Yeah, so I go more towards my phone. But it's nice to be able to read something in big, letters, and I'm not squinting and struggling to read things. But I really should use it more. The other 2 weeks ago, I actually did a commercial, and I actually had all my notes and everything on it. So I had it right here in front of me to where I was using it to read. And it was perfect because, I just threw everything on there and I was able to read it. I didn't, unfortunately I was running late today, so I don't have it with me today. But if there's a need for it, then great. Speaking of iPads, I got a publication in the other day in the mail, and it said something about a school district that just is switching over to these things for educational use. The McAllen School District in McAllen, Texas, is switching over, and they predicted by 2014 every student, every teacher, and every administrator will have an iPad 2 for educational purposes. Now, that to me is kind of strange. There's a lot of the teacher unions kind of, stirring the war wagons on this, thinking that the district is overspending money on these devices, and, are they really going to be worth it? They dropped something like $2 million down, to purchase, I think, 2,000 of these devices.
Wow.
And
now, what are they saying the advantage of you? How are they using them in education? I have, in one of my previous jobs, we had a lot of customers who were school districts. And so I saw how computers were typically used in the classroom. In some classrooms, there literally were computers on every desk, but they were very computer-focused type classes. Other classes, they just had like maybe a small bank of them in the room for reference. Basically instead of having to go to the library, you could just go to the back of the room. Mm-hmm. So what are they saying they're using these for?
They're using these things to see if they're, if I read correctly, they're thinking about that they'll save the district money in terms of buying books, because the district has already made arrangements with, I think, three of the major book school district book manufacturers.
Right.
One of them is Pearson Hill, Hill, and all these other ones. So they're going to be able to download, I believe, all of their content and all their books to these devices, and then just have them there. And it'll save having to buy the books, have them there. And you're going to have them like a stack of books.
Right.
You need to store these things. They tear, they mess up, and then you got to replace them. And these books, by no means are they cheap. One school book is about $130, $140. So, if you try to offset the cost, if I read correctly, because, I was kind of skimming through it real fast, that they're actually saving money by going to the iPads than buying actual books.
Okay, I see the potential advantage there. Of course, you may or may not be aware of all the brouhaha that Apple was in the middle of with the whole price fixing for ebooks.
Mm-hmm.
And it was over that same kind of thing. Allegedly were in cahoots to kind of, with the various publishers, et cetera, to kind of fix the cost, because they saw money flying out the window from their hard copy publishing in favor of the ebooks. And oh, by the way, how do you control? It's like the whole DRM issue with videos and music. How do you protect your copyright to textbooks?
Well, actually, they make a reference to that in the article, saying that Apple was the first one to reach out to these book manufacturers and say,
"Oh yeah,
hey,
Cha-ching.
Let's set something up here and let's do this," before they even went to the school district to solicit, "Hey, we got these devices,
right?
Can you utilize them? And this is how you can do it." They're being used in China and Japan right now. Everybody's using them, and actually the McAllen School District, I did read this, and I was kind of like, I found that hard to believe, but they are the first school district in the nation to make such a big push for these devices. So you have other states that are looking at us right now, or looking actually in McAllen to see how they're going to utilize these devices. So it's a big thing, and I hope that they utilize them the correct way. Unfortunately, I've seen, and I wish I could say more about this, but kids really do not take care of things.
That's true. News flash. They don't break stuff. They steal stuff.
I work in a place right now that's surrounded with kids, and that's as far as I'll say.
Yeah.
But you don't know how many times a day we get the reports that, I'm missing my phone got stolen,
right.
Or they took my iPod or my Zoom out of my purse and it's gone.
Yeah.
And I just set it down for like 20 seconds. You got these things in a school district these things are going to get lost. They're going to get broken. Yep. They're going to end up in they're going to end up in pawn shops, flea markets for sale, because these things are going to go quick.
Yeah, I'm thinking if they thought locking down desktops was going to be tough, setting global policies, et cetera, to protect those and stop, kids from cruising the internet for porn, et cetera, downloading music. How do they think they're going to guard against that on a device that's all over the place?
It's going to make it hard. I know that's one of the reasons why here at the local school district they have the Wi-Fi lockdown, because it's hard to control the content that's being viewed over Wi-Fi.
Right.
It's possible. It's just a little more work for them to do, and they just kind of, why do it? If they want to go to a certain website, it's blocked if you're going to go over Wi-Fi. But if you go to the desktop to where they can filter the content through their filtering system, you can actually hit the website. Right. But anyway, we'll be talking tech all night.
Yeah, I'm sure. So, we were talking. You mentioned earlier, and this is kind of where I wanted to go, is that we ran into each other in line to watch the new Avengers movie. We had purchased our technology is cool. Technology is my slave.
Are you its slave?
No, it is my slave. So, bought the tickets online, had it on my smartphone. It was so cool to be able to, you get your confirmation number. So, just walk up to the box office and go, here's my confirmation number. So she's typing it into her screen to verify against there. No paper involved. It was great. So she kicks out the tickets. You know, what they need to do is either get the NFC stuff going or have a deal where it's a QR code or something like that, to where then all you have to do is, if you're old school and have your paper ticket, it's so quaint and they'll rip it, or you have it and you just put it up on your screen and you just walk it by a little scanner and it checks you in.
Yeah, it'll check you in.
That'd be awesome.
Well, we're probably heading there. Just
we're getting
time.
there.
We're getting there.
Yep. So anyway, so we're standing in line, and it was a long line.
It was
almost an hour ahead of because they had in Del Rio, they had a number of showings. They had on 2 screens, and they were staggered by about a half hour. So we saw you a number of slots in front, so we were saying hi and everything. But so you were seeing the later show. We saw the 9:50.
Right.
You were seeing the 10:15.
We went to the 10:15. You went to the 9:15.
Yeah. Now, how full was your theater?
It was full.
Was it?
Yeah.
Ours was pretty full. I was shocked. I thought, this being, aside from those who went to the midnight showing, which I heard that was absolutely packed. I was and the 2 7-something shows were both sold out. I noticed. When we went by
I thought the 9:15 one was sold out. The one you went to go see. I saw it on the paper. It was sold out.
Well, it might have been, but I know the 2 7 o'clock, 7:20, whatever, were both sold out. Even when we went by to pick up our actual tickets and get our 3D glasses earlier in the day. But I was really shocked, even though it was the late show, one of the late shows, that the theater wasn't completely full. I mean, there were still plenty of seats. There was probably at least 30 seats available, which shocked me. But so you're saying yours
Well, I mean, it was full. There was seats, but they were staggered. You know how there was like one in here.
Oh, you could. There were spots in the 9:50 show that you could have put a group of 4 in easy. Now, most of those were up front, but there were still, onesies, twosies.
No, we didn't have that. We had. There was no like consecutive seating. There was like one there, one here, one over there in the front.
Yeah.
So
that's a pet peeve for me too.
Yeah. So what did you think? Come on, give me.
All right.
Break it down for me.
All right. Let me interesting.
Because we left, and I did see you guys outside. You guys were out there by your car.
Yep.
And I could tell you were debating the movie. I mean.
Well, it started that way, and then it moved into religious type stuff.
Okay.
But here's the thing. Full disclosure. I'm a DC Comics guy, all right? But with one exception. I liked Iron Man. I always liked Iron Man. There was just something about the character and just the hardware. I guess even at an early age, the tech head in me stood way out. So the way they've executed the Iron Man movies has just been like, I want that, I want that, I want that. And I was saying that a lot in the Avengers movie. I was like, I want that. Tony Stark has all the cool toys. So
I like the part when he goes, when he put his like this.
How does he see?
How does he look at these?
And then the guy says, he moves around. He's like, well, that's tiring.
That's tiring.
So, all right. So I'm a DC Comics guy. And I loved the Iron Man movies. Both of those have been awesome. It's just a shame that what's his name, Cheadle, the first guy that was playing his sidekick. He I guess asked for too much money, until they put a different guy in there for the second movie.
Which one was this?
His buddy that's in the Air Force.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it was a different actor. Because that's what you get.
First one, it was Don Cheadle.
Yeah, that Cheadle. Yeah,
Cheadle.
Cheadle. From one of the movies he was in was it Red Planet or Mars? Mission to Mars.
Mission to Mars.
Yeah, good movie, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Well done. Not movies aren't made like that these days. But anyway, that just shows you when you get too big for your britches. So anyway, here we go in there and I'm thinking, all right, I loved the Iron Man movies. I was extremely disappointed in both Thor and Captain America.
I kind of liked them.
They were entertaining. I didn't feel like I totally wasted my money, but I was like, there was just something. Ooh, losing a light. That will be bad. We're having a power flux here. Oh no. It's getting darker. I'm fading.
You're fading.
Look at that. That is so odd. What in the world is it doing?
See, we have Benny Benassi in the studio, and he's getting ready. He's doing his light show. He's starting to fix the strobes. Oh, we're losing. Oh.
That's gonna be bad because that's gonna make this shot look really dark.
Oh my!
Good thing we do have the one. Luckily, I have another light.
Look at that.
Huh. All right. Well, that's our signal. We need to finish up. Okay. But anyway, so let me finish this up. So I was disappointed. I was expecting more out of it, and then the fact that all the other characters that are in the Avengers didn't get a lot of build up because you had Thor built up, you had Captain America built up,
mm-hmm.
and of course, obviously, Iron Man got the biggest build, but there really wasn't much for Black Widow, zero for Hawkeye,
mm-hmm.
And Hulk is a Superman story. You know, it's where they can't seem to make up their mind how many times they're going to reboot the stupid thing. So they had yet a third guy playing Bruce Banner. You had the Hulk, then you had the Incredible Hulk, both, and they were like a pseudo sequel, but it was two different characters. Well, actually, almost all of them were different characters, or different actors. And then you have a third actor playing Bruce in this movie. I'm like, come on, people. So, all right. So it was kind of disappointing. I was like, I don't care about the Hulk. I never liked him as a comic book character anyway. But so I had kind of ambivalent expectations going in. But I am a Joss Whedon fan. My first exposure to him was when he was directing Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel, and then also my all-time favorite series next to Star Trek, which is Firefly. I loved Firefly, loved Serenity. It's a shame that Fox ruined any chance for that series to really do well. But Joss Whedon has magic behind the camera, and he's magic in screenplay writing. He has a way to work dialogue that just draws you in, and he can get serious and make you think about something and then slap you with a zinger, which that was one of the things that impressed me most about this movie. The special effects were, of course, fantastic. Mm-hmm. But there were so many instances in there, and I don't want to give anything away for those who haven't seen it yet, which surprised me there's anybody who hasn't seen it yet. But there were so many instances that I was like, that is so Joss Whedon. You know, the fight between Thor and the Hulk,
mm-hmm.
And then they both basically have to work together to do something, and then you see the end of it. That was
when he punches us.
You totally weren't expecting that. No. It was like they're both looking, and all of a sudden, I was like, "Oh, that is so Joss Whedon." So I knew I was going to enjoy it in spite of any prejudice that I might have had going in, just because Joss Whedon does a wonderful job directing and with screenplays. So bottom line is, I absolutely love the movie. I can't think of anything about it that I came away going, although I think I'll probably need to see it again, mm-hmm. at least once, to catch things that kind of flew by, because if there was any negative thing that I would have about it, some of the editing choices, and this is purely the technical side of filmmaking, not the story, but I'm frequently in movies frustrated by the editing, why they chose to give you a lot of quick snippets of things. I want a moment to process something I'm seeing, or to draw the connection. If you're trying to, as a director, draw a connection between point A and point B, or scene A and scene B, give me a moment to process that, unless you really are trying to keep me guessing. Mm-hmm. And this was not a guessing movie.
No.
This was followed a very, very, I hesitate to say predictable formula that you see in the comic books anyway. But it was good. There were some neat little twists in there, but they were trying to. The one thing that's always tough when you're pulling together an ensemble cast like this, where you haven't had the benefit of each one of the characters having their own movie, you're trying to create some backstory in there. For the benefit of people who are serious aficionados of the comic series and are trying to say, oh, well, that's not canon. And then also just so people who aren't familiar can kind of see what's motivating the characters.
One of the things that during the movie that was kind of, God, it was a little hard for me, was there was a little bit of action and then it slowed down, so they kind of, it just slowed down around the middle a little bit. Then it picks up again and then, they start fighting. But I liked the humor in the movie. There was a lot of funny parts in there. One of my favorites was when Loki was telling Hulk something. He just grabs him and he just leaves him.
So not. You don't want to give that away.
No. But I mean, he just grabs him, and you got to see the movie.
That was another unexpected thing.
It was so quick. You just like. That was cool,
and the audience cheered. I don't know what yours.
They were laughing over there.
They were laughing, but ours was just all cheering, like
For me, the one part that I really liked, and it was just one small little scene, and I just thought it looked so cool in 3D, was when Hawkeye was jumping from the building,
right? And
he kind of rolled over, and you see it in the preview where he just rolls over and shoots his bow, and he actually latches onto the building, and he comes down and it attaches, so he doesn't actually fall off the building, even though in the commercial it looks like he does. But that was just so cool. Did you stay to the end, all the way to the end?
Yes, we did, because for those who've been watching any of the or watching at least more than one of the Marvel Comics based movies, you should already have gotten used to the fact that they like to throw a little teaser
at the end of the credits,
or a capitulation or recap during the credits. About a third of the way through, they'll pause. They basically let the credits fly off, and you see an additional scene, usually hinting at something coming up next, whether it's the sequel or another movie that's related, another character. So definitely that rings true here. So I knew, I was prepped. I said, let's stay. There's got to be a scene, and there sure was. So
but no, did you stay all the way to the very end?
Oh, no.
You should have.
Oh, no.
Yeah. To the very end.
Now I have to go see it.
After all the credits went by.
Yeah.
It gets dark, and then it just lights up again. You missed a cool scene.
All right. So now I have to go see it again. Thanks for that.
It's a small scene, but I thought something was up because in the middle of the movie, like you mentioned earlier, they went about a quarter or so in there, and then there's goes on a little bit more, but then at the end we were like, I guess that's it, it's over. The people they were there with the trash cans getting ready to clean up. I'm thinking, but they were getting ready to clean, and they didn't turn on the lights. They were waiting. So is there anything else? They're like, yeah, wait.
Oh.
So we sat back down.
Nobody did that when we were there.
No, well, the movie stopped, and it was at the end of the movie, and then everybody's getting up, and we just stay sitting there. And they're like, well, is there going to be something else? And they're like, no, I don't think so. Let's just go. So everybody was leaving, and all of a sudden it comes on, and then people are standing up just watching. Then that finishes, and then everybody leaves. So we were like, okay, it's time to go. And I asked one of the workers there at the movie, they go, is there anything else? And he goes, yeah. Okay, so we waited. So you gotta see it.
Wow,
it was so cool.
So I have to go see it again.
Yeah.
All right. I won't. Like I said, there's some things that just flew by, and I want to catch. Some of the dialogue that was a little bit too soft. I'm like, I want to hear what that was again. So, but it was well done. Joss Whedon, you never disappoint. It was a pretty good balance of the characters. I was pretty impressed. From what I know of the characters, to say I was a DC Comics kid doesn't mean I didn't read some of the other ones. So I just never followed the full, a lot of the full storylines. I thought it was pretty true to the characterizations for the most part. With allowing the actors to do their own twist on it was pretty good.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good movie. Kind of threw me off a little bit, some of the things on there, but overall it was really good. I never checked the Hulk movies out, so I never saw the Hulk.
You need to see them if for no other reason, just to kind of flesh it out. But there's almost no continuity between the two. They are sort of one's the reboot of the other, but it did pull some things, homages to the first one into the second one, just so it's like a pseudo sequel.
Yeah. But no, it was good.
So anyway, this brings us. We're way over time. Well, we were late, but so we're pretty much on our regular speed anyway. So this brings us to this is your week for the commercial.
Oh, my commercial.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. We've been talking about different things
right.
the whole show already, so it's been kind of like a
smorgasbord.
Yeah, we can do that. Like Robert always says, we can do pretty much what we want to.
Yeah.
And we try to keep the show down to an hour, but oh well. When we're having fun, you're having fun, and when you're having fun, you don't want to go.
That's right.
So, we're gonna, talking about diving, because this is a diving show.
Two guys who dive.
One of the things that we kind of started talking about is, bringing up something, some of the equipment that we use and things like that. If you caught last week's episode, we were discussing signal sausages. A signal tube, which is, it's a safety device, and you use it for a safety device so that you can signal
right.
whenever you're having trouble on the surface of the water.
Yep.
Obviously, it's going to serve you no purpose at all underwater. But when you're on the surface, if you need to signal a boat or shore to get help to you, you inflate the device and it sticks up out of the water, and usually it's an orange color. So it serves for that purpose. But if you're diving underwater, it's not going to really help you at all. So, what do you do in situations like that? Well, they sell different devices to kind of help, and it's not only for to signal that you need help. It's just, because you can't talk underwater.
Not unless you have $1,000 to spend on a full face mask.
Right, and we talked about that too last week.
Ooh.
So, how do you combat that situation? Well, not a problem. If you find yourself diving, you always want to dive with some kind of signal device.
Right.
It's obviously there's the one for the surface, but what do you do underwater? Well, I use a H2YO noisemaker. H2O right there. And there it is. And when you shake it, and it's a little signal
loud.
Like that. It's
now
loud.
that my ears are deaf, and that was loud in the microphone.
And granted, I didn't shake it very much.
Right.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. If you're diving underwater and you're out of air, perhaps, you find a gold brick buried in the sand. How do you get your buddy's attention?
Gold brick.
Or signal help from others. Well,
from mothers.
From others.
Oh, okay.
From others. He's putting words in my mouth.
Help me. I'm drowning, Mom.
Nice.
All right. The sorry, guys. The ReefNet's H2IO noisemaker is a perfect way to get attention underwater. Shake it strongly to get the attention of the entire group, or shake it lightly just to get your buddy's attention. H2YO clips directly onto your BC and can be worn so it's never forgotten on a boat, and is available in 2 unique sounds. Well, you heard one of them. It makes kind of a rattling sound because there's multiple little bricks in there, or you get one that's just, I think, a solid bearing, and it's just one solid click. Of course, neither option can be confused with your typical tank banger, and they come in several different colors to choose from. The one that, of course, I showed you was in orange. They have them in yellow, green, blue, pink. I've seen them in purple.
Pink. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Now I know. I'm going to have to get my wife one.
I've seen them in purple, and they can also
Whoa, wait a minute. What?
Yeah, they make it in purple. The new
But
one.
they
is
don't
in-
have it on the little picture there.
No, but the new one is in purple.
Okay, I got to get one of those
it's in
now.
purple. Yeah, it's
You
on
have-
online.
I'm sold. I've
Yeah.
got a tank. I've got not the H2O, but I've got one of their competitors, but it's a blue. But man, if they got purple, I'm sold. You've got a new client. there.
Yeah, no, definitely, it is in purple, and they can be printed with your logo for resale for promotional giveaways.
Ooh.
Yeah, for a fee.
Oh. I
Mhm.
wonder-
No, it's not free. It's not free.
I wonder how much that costs.
We can look up that information.
Roughly, ballpark, how much do these run? Do you know?
They run about $15 to $20.
That's not bad for a safety device.
No, it's not at all, and it can be heard really like a mile or so underwater because noise travels. If you've ever been in the water, you know what I'm talking
Absolutely.
about. But they are loud. If you would like more information, visit your local dive shop or check them out online at www.reefnet.ca/products and look for H2O noisemakers.
CA.
CA, they're from Canada.
So I was going to say, and they're from the Great White North.
That's right. And
Nice.
it's right here. It just clips on. I keep mine right here. I have 2B CDs, and they both have one, so I'm not switching
Okay.
back and forth.
Nice.
And yeah, they're pretty neat. They're very loud.
Nice. Well done.
Well, thank you.
I'll definitely have to get the purple one. That's all there is to it.
Right, the purple. Purple's my favorite color, and just happened to be Rob's favorite color too.
Yep. Awesome. Well, good job. So next week's my turn.
Yeah.
For those who were here last week, you saw that we had our guest, Nick Van Winkle, who was my student for the weekend. He finished out his course. He finished out the course on the Sunday with flying colors. Did well. He's excited to be a new diver. So hopefully he'll get his permanent card here in the next week or so. And we're always encouraging more people to get out and dive, get out and try it. We're trying to get a Discover Scuba thing going. And, of course, if you are a diver, we're always looking for anybody who's ready to hit the water. The water is slowly but surely warming up.
And going down.
Yeah. That's not good. Not
Going
good.
down.
Exactly. So,
What is by the way, now that you mentioned diving, is there any updates or anything for Balmaray as far as the tick issue?
you know what? They still, on their website, it still says that they're down. Well, it's not a tick. It's something that's in the water that's causing some people irritation and itching.
You know, I did see a movie by Eli Roth called Cabin Fever. You know,
Oh, no.
there was something in the water.
B movie. Bad, bad, bad. Oh,
Well, you know, shout out to Nick. Nick, it was great having you on the show last week. If you're watching, Sarah, how's it going?
Yep. And if you would like to join us on an episode of Two Guys Who Dive, just let us know. Oh, we've got a visitor. We'd love to have you. We have another microphone, and would just be happy to chat with you, talk about diving or other things. That's
anything.
This isn't strictly a diving show. It's just that's our primary thing that we share. But obviously, we share a lot of technical stuff as well as just crazy, wild and crazy guy stuff. So
Yeah.
So well. That's it for another episode of
Two Guys Who Dive.